afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for the starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's game at Fir Park. Obviously still hugely deflated after Thursday night's defeat to Sparta Prague, but it's on to the next one. The only way we can start to put that behind us is to perform and get a good win tomorrow. I don't think there's going to be any change in terms of the manager anytime soon. I think it's going to have to get a lot worse, so we need to hope that the team can change things, that we can turn things around and go on a good run, because we have to go on a run of 6, 7, 8 wins in a row now. That's the only way we're going to move out of this period, because 1 win in 6 games is absolutely unacceptable. Before we get started with the team for tomorrow, I have to tell you about our sponsors, OneFootball. The OneFootball app has everything that you need at the touch of a button. You know this already. Line up notifications as soon as the teams are announced on game days. Goal alerts from the Celtic games and any other game that you want to keep tabs on. League tables, top goal scorers, top assist makers. You get all the Celtic related news as soon as it breaks, because you set Celtic as your favourite team on the app. You can download it by clicking the link in the description of this video. It is free to download wherever you get your apps on your phone, and it's a great way to support the channel. It helps us keep this content free for you to watch. Click the link in the description, download it and let me know what you think. Motherwell come into this one sitting 7th in the Scottish Premiership on 14 points. They've had 2 good wins in their last 2 games against Ross County and away at Livingston. This could be a tough game for us. I think Motherwell might smell blood. They know how we've been playing, and if we play anything like we've been playing, then every game is going to be difficult for us. There's no doubt about that. In terms of the team, I think there has to be changes from Thursday night. I said in the build-up to Thursday night in the starting 11 prediction for the Sparta Prague game that there's a couple of guys in the team who hadn't done much wrong and deserved to keep their place, Scott Bain being the first one. But I think after conceding 4 goals at home, it could have been 5, 6 or 7. Sparta Prague hit the post, they hit the bar, and Bain did have 1 or 2 saves. I think Barkas is going to come back in for this game. I think we've conceded so many goals in recent games, even since Scott Bain's been in the team. If you think about Aberdeen, Sparta Prague, we are conceding a lot of goals. So I expect to see Barkas come back in. I don't know. I wouldn't be totally surprised if Neil Lennon kept Bain in, but I'm going to guess that he's going with Barkas tomorrow. In the defence, I think we'll keep the 4-2-3-1 shape. It'll be Frimpong at right back. I think the other night there, he was charging forward after 1-0. That's maybe not as much his fault as it is the setup, and that's how we play. Like we throw him up the park, we throw Laxalt at the park at the other side, and then on the counter attack we're so vulnerable because the team's all over the place. You've seen that with the second goal and the third goal in many ways as well. So Frimpong was poor the other night. I think defensively he has got a lot to work on, but I think he's definitely going to keep his place at right back. In the defence, Shane Duffy cannot play tomorrow, in my opinion. It's gone too far. He's making far too many mistakes. The defending for that third goal the other night is as poor as I've ever seen from a Celtic defender. The guy just walks by him and he's almost given up. He dangles his left leg in, but he's looking up to the sky before the guy's even by him. He's just chucked it. He's making mistake after mistake after mistake. He can't play tomorrow. There's a fine line between sticking by a player when he's having a sticky patch of form and then asking for trouble, because it looks like right now that Shane Duffy will make a mistake in every game that he plays. He needs to come out of the team and rediscover his form. He just needs a break. He needs a break. He needs to be taken out of the heat, taken out of the spotlight. He needs a few weeks on the bench, and then we can maybe bring him back in, because he's playing far too poorly to be the main man in that defence right now. So I think even though we're struggling at centre half in terms of numbers with Ayer and Julian out, I'm going to say that El Ahmed will start at centre half alongside him near Beaton. Nobody in the defence covered themselves in glory the other night. Nobody in the team put in an acceptable performance, really, let's be honest. But because we're short in numbers, I think it will be El Ahmed, Beaton alongside him. You could say there's no natural centre half in there, but as I say, Shane Duffy's just playing that badly. Like, you put Shane Duffy in there because he's the fit natural centre half we've got. How's that been working for us in recent weeks? Left back, Diego Laxalt, fully expect him to keep his place there. In the midfield, we could see changes. I think the big problem in midfield for us in recent weeks is we're just changing the same personnel all the time. It's either Ncham or it's Rogic, and we just make the same subs. Neil Lennon makes the same subs all the time. Sorrow has had like 5 minutes all season. David Turnbull has had one start and then 3 or 4 sub appearances of 5 or 10 minutes. We're just chopping and changing the same. It's the same personnel. We're taking 2 out, putting 2 in, making these subs. It's just not working. The personnel isn't working. Having said that though, I don't expect there to be any changes in terms of Scott Brown playing alongside Callum McGregor. Everybody isn't playing well just now, as I said. Nobody was good on Thursday night, but I do expect Brown and McGregor to keep their place there in that midfield. In front of them, I'm going to go with a start for David Turnbull. Olivier Ntcham has been poor recently, which I've touched on again and again and again. Rogic, who was impressive in his 2 performances against Aberdeen, didn't do enough the other night. It's just defensively, like he's never done it defensively in Europe. He's never done it defensively. He's a luxury. He's a luxury player, Tom Rogic. And I thought he was poor the other night. I thought defensively, he's just a man down. I said it a couple of weeks ago when I thought he might start against Lille. I think we need to see Turnbull in there. Turnbull needs to get his chance. Talking about this personnel, keep him chopping and changing the same players. It's either Ntcham or it's Rogic or it's some variation of the same 4 players all the time. So I think we need to see Turnbull in there. It's against his former club. He knows all about Motherwell. I think it's a good opportunity to freshen the team up, to put some impetus in it. David Turnbull's got a point to prove. He wants to get a place in the team. He's came here for a relatively big transfer fee between 2 Scottish clubs. So he's got a point to prove. He'll want his place in the team, and I think he should be put in there to play in front of Brown and McGregor. Right hand side, it will be Ryan Christie. We're still so limited there with James Forrest out. James Forrest is going to be out now. Neil Lennon confirmed it the other day. He's going to be out for probably 6 to 8 weeks at absolute best. So Christie's got to keep his place there. On the left hand side, Mohamed El Younousi is going to have to keep his place, because I can't see how we drop him, because we've not got another natural left winger, if you like. Okay, you might say put Edouard out there and maybe play a Yeti up front, but I don't think Neil Lennon's going to do that. A lot of talk about El Younousi on his phone the other night. I mean, come on, like, it's no ideal. It doesn't look good. But in terms of the things that are wrong at the club at the minute, the things that are wrong with that team, Mohamed El Younousi being on his phone in the last 2 minutes of the game on the bench is so far down the list of things that are wrong. So I think it was blown well out of proportion. I think Chris Sutton blew it out of proportion, shouting about how he'd fine him 2 weeks' wages. Chris Sutton didn't cover himself in glory the other night at all. As soon as the final whistle goes, he's caning Lee Griffiths, as if Lee Griffiths is the man responsible for everything that's going wrong at Celtic just now. Chris Sutton doesn't want to criticise his mate, who's the manager. That's the be all and end all. I think if Ronnie Dyler was a manager, Chris Sutton would be verging on personally attacking him if Celtic were playing the way they are right now. And I see that he's come out maybe in one of his columns today and tried to dig himself out the hole that he dug for himself the other night by going after Griffiths and going after El Younousi, and totally ducking the point at hand here that Neil Lennon is the manager and the team aren't playing well. There's glaring errors in how the team's coached and organised, and Chris Sutton didn't want to talk about it, but he did want to blow Mohamed El Younousi looking at his phone well out of proportion. So I think El Younousi will start, because we've got no other options there. And up front, Edouard, I think, has to keep his place. I've toyed with thinking, will Neil Lennon play a Yeti? I think he could play a Yeti. But thinking about the last time a Yeti started up top in a domestic game, it was at Pittodrie, and he really struggled to get into the game. I think it will be Edouard. He didn't play well the other night, Edouard. There's a lot of talk about how he's disinterested, which is the go-to criticism for all of the French players, and I don't really like that. But I can see where people are coming from in some games, like the other night. I think the other night, Edouard, when things aren't working, he had a couple of times where he just tried to dribble past 4 or 5 players. It was poor. I think everybody was poor, and there's no getting away for that, as I said already. But I think it will be Edouard. That's the team I've went with. Like the video, comment your own thoughts below. Who do you think will start on Sunday? This was difficult to try and pick this team after Thursday. I'm still so deflated. I don't see where we go for here in terms of changing personnel. I think the problems are much deeper than changing personnel, and I think that's what we've seen play out so far this season. But let me know who you think will start in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll be back as normal tomorrow after the game with live full-time reaction here from the home of full-time reaction on Celtic Fans TV. Don't miss it. Cheers.